Confidence is not a fluke. Confidence is a choice, and it begins with your mindset. In this podcast, you will get all sorts of mindset tools to help you reduce self criticism and overwhelm while increasing your empowerment and courage. I am passionate about helping women decrease their mental drama and increase their self awareness while leaving behind all the perfectionist tendencies. We do so by empowering ourselves one episode at a time. I am Olga, your host, former therapist, life coach, blissfully an IVF mother, and this is the Journey to Happy podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Journey to Happy. This episode is an exciting episode. We'll be talking about money. I yet have another amazing money coach that actually is Canadian. I was just telling her that she's one of my few Canadian guests. So I'm very happy to have a Canadian guest on board today. I'm even more excited to introduce you to her and to tell you why she's here. Okay. I have, as you guys already know, big interest in building everybody's confidence in life. Not everybody's, every woman's confidence. Men are born confident, I feel. I'm joking, you guys. If you're listening, you're part of the people I want to help become more confident. But one of the areas in which women lack confidence is particularly related to the making of money, to being in money, to making money, to talking about money. And I love breaking into the beliefs and the thoughts that we have around what does it take to make money? What does it mean if I have money or if I don't have money? To improve that relationship, to also be confident in our ability to make money, to hold money, to talk money, to be all things money. I am interested in that. And so I'm excited to be introducing you to Natasha Tekeste, who is a mindset money coach for women and people socialized as women who want to earn more money. She works with people who want to shift their beliefs around money and wealth so that they can leave the drama behind. It's like you talk my language, Natasha. Focus on actually doing the work that they love to do. She teaches people how to love the money they have, powerful, while also loving the process of earning and creating more money. I am in love with you already, Natasha, what you do, because it is possible for money to be easy and fun. She has a business degree from the University of Alberta and a master's degree in adult education from the University of Calgary. She's got a certificate in mediation and negotiation from York University. And she is a chartered professional in human resources with over 10 years of HR experience. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and chat with you about all things women and people socialized as women and money.
I like it. So tell me first, just to break into the subject, what brought you into the subject? Why did you decide to coach women and why socialized women too? Like, what's the interest behind what brought you into this?
Yeah, I think for me, having worked in HR for about over a decade, I just saw people and women in particular be so anxious about work, promotions, making money, salary negotiations, all of these kinds of things. And what was so interesting to me is it was people who were like high performers at work or people who were excelling and they still had so much anxiety and stress about it. And it never really matched up with like the level of their performance. So I saw that at work. And then I also saw that with my friends as well, people being so anxious and judgmental and so shameful about, how they're spending their money, how they treat their money. And I just knew that I could kind of use my work experience and just help people kind of find more confidence in this area of their lives.
Amazing. What has been your own experience? So, like, that's your professional experience. I like any good coach. I'm sure you've coached yourself through your own money drama mindset.
Totally. Yeah. So when I was a child, I didn't grow up with a lot of money. I wasn't really exposed to a lot of money. And just for some context, I'm a first generation Canadian. I'm biracial. And so I didn't really see a lot of people who looked like me or who had maybe my similarities in my background with a lot of money. And I thought money wasn't for someone like me. But I also understood that like having money was a way to maybe free up your time and energy and be able to do the things that you wanted to do. So that's kind of, I think, where my interest in this stems from. And then really once I started earning money, from my very first jobs, I understood that I was like, oh, I have actually some power in this. And there is some elements here that I can control. And that's where I just really wanted to, yeah, I think that's where my journey kind of with money started. And then, like everyone, I had a lot of drama and stress about it. And I was like, I just felt like I couldn't either pay off debt fast enough or earn enough to make me feel good. And then I realized that like the piece that was missing was the mindset work, right? Like you can never out earn a scarcity mindset. You actually have to do the inner work to shift your relationship and your beliefs around money first. And so that's the work that I kind of coach my clients on.
I love all of it. I want all of my clients to work with you. I think this work is so amazing. First of all, my brain went like biracial. What two races are you identifying?
Yeah, so my dad is from a country in East Africa called Eritrea, and then my mom's background is Ukrainian. So very interesting mix, not very common, but I love it. It's a really amazing opportunity to be exposed to different cultures growing up, different food, different languages, and to kind of like pave my own way as a, different individual in, predominantly white communities. And that's kind of where I've grown up, kind of just in Canadian prairie, Canadian prairie life.
I love this. And I love the approach as also a visual minority. I am not biracial. I'm fully 100% Colombian. Until I did 23andMe that tells your ancestry background. And it turns out that I'm actually only 14% Colombian. I was very disappointed to my own self identity. I'm like, what? Am I only a 14% Colombian? But this is something that I think is so important and relevant to talk about how we don't view ourselves as the people who have money, depending on our background and not just cultural or social background, but in general. Like if we grew up in a place where the majority of our friends and parents of our friends didn't make a lot of money, that we kind of think like, oh, that's not for us. It's for people who live on that side of town, or it's for people who go to this particular school. So I love that background context that you're giving us and the approach. And I was just being curious to know, like, and see, I'm happy I asked you because that's such a phenomenal mix that you absolutely did not get often. African and Croatian. That's awesome. And do you speak more than English?
Well, I speak English and French, and then I learned Spanish having lived in Mexico. I was telling you earlier that I spent a year there, and then I've been exposed to kind of my cultural background, like languages. I never became fluent in this, and I think that's also a product of just like when I grew up, where it was like a lot of becoming more Canadian, I guess, or like Canadifying, the way that we
Yeah.
in the world. And I don't think that, diversity and inclusion was as much of a focus or as kind of recognized as it is now. And this is why I really focus on coaching people with minority backgrounds and experiences. So people of color, members of the BIPOC community, people socialized as women. I just am so passionate about moving and shifting money into the hands of people with marginalized identities. I don't think money is just meant for those in power, those people who currently have it. I really think that powerful shifts can happen and change in our communities and societies when, more people who have these marginalized identities are able to increase their wealth and make more money.
Yeah. So I absolutely love it. And I want us to begin maybe this conversation around that. I had it myself and I encounter this with my clients when I bring the subject. Like, so anybody who's in my 12-month program, money is one of the subjects that we cover because the program is called Become the CEO of Your Own Life. And I don't know of any CEO who's never thought about money, who doesn't have a money goal, who's not confident in her ability to earn, to save, to invest, and to feel powerful that way. And so when I bring the subject that money, in fact, gives you power of decision and lifestyle and frees time for you to then do the things that you love doing, I sense some resistance. And I in fact have these conversations with clients where they're like, I don't want to be powerful because we have like this perception of what power is. And it's somehow like this bad thing to have. And we also make that association with how in money is superficial, like the desire of wanting to earn money to then have better lifestyle or more possibilities in general. We have been hiding behind it's so superficial. What would I want to? Like, there's so much better, greater things in life to do. So, how do you walk people through that process? Let's talk about those beliefs. Like, and I'm sure you are aware of other ones that women specifically, my experience, where that hasn't been the focus of our existence. You're going to grow up and be a mom and be loving and be all things like a good woman would. But we don't talk about money. Nobody's telling us how are you investing money. Our living room conversations do not entitle, hey, how much money did you make last month? What do you do with the money you're making?
Yeah, totally. I think women have been socialized to think that money isn't for them, that money is scarce, that really they have to save it because they're not good with money, and that money is meant to be controlled or taken care of by other people. Normally, men are the ones who we see like in media who are in charge of money, for example, in like TV shows or movies that we watch. And women are usually like the extravagant or frivolous spenders, which isn't actually true, right? Like, anyone can learn money. It's really just like a skill that you can learn how to invest, how to save, all of these different things, right? It's not something that people are born intuitively knowing. But I think the other part of it, like you mentioned, is that we have such negative sometimes like connotations or beliefs around it. Like money is morally bad. And if I have money, then it means I'm a bad person. When in fact, that's actually not true, right? Like, yeah, of course, there are people with a lot of money who are doing bad things in the world, but it's not the money that's causing them to do that, right? It makes you just more of who you are. And so if you are truly like a good person who wants to be a service and help other people, money can be a really powerful tool for you to use and like an actual way of, you know, providing more to the businesses that you want to support or, donating to causes and organizations that are really important to you. When you have more money, you have the choice to be able to, provide support, financial support to causes that are near and dear to your heart. And I think that's a really important part that we kind of miss out on when we just think money is bad and like the root of all evil or things like that. I think those messages come from people in power who are trying to be like, no, don't make more money. It's bad. It's like just to convince people to
Enjoy the good life. We want to keep it for just a few selected ones. So,
yeah.
first of all, as somebody who grew up in Colombia, in a third world country full of poverty, I would care to argue that people who are living poverty are more likely to do bad things because out of need. I mean, the violence that my country has experienced, the level to which it has evolved has to do with poverty. It goes back to people not having enough. So for those of us who think once I have money, I'm going to become bad and mean, like just think that poverty will get you places where you will find a darker side of you. That is just, I think, reality. You jump to doing things. And I do like that just because you suddenly land into money or that you begin to focus on money as a goal, that you as a human being have not changed, that your values have not changed. Imagine more people like you and I make more money. Like when I have a big, great goal that I don't mind saying it here because I want to be accountable and I'm facing my own mental drama of saying, I want more money, but I would love to make $1 million through my coaching programs.
Love it. That's amazing.
Over time, in 1 year, in 1 month, I don't know. I'm open to the possibilities of how one day I'm going to look and say, holy crap, I've made $1 million.
Yeah, totally. Amazing. I love that.
And it came from having listened to another coach who told her story and how she made $10 million. And I was like, well, coaching? Yeah, coaching. So, because I invest in real estate, and so that doesn't sound crazy in real estate investments, but in coaching sounds like out there. But I've made that goal for myself, and I had to like work myself through. I'm still in the middle of coaching myself out of mental drama. But the thing that you said now that I just wanted to side with it. One of the ways in which I've got out of my mental drama is by thinking the things that I would do with $1 million. And to my surprise, where my brain goes to is not to buy a plane or like this expensive purse. It goes to how I will give like 100,000 to each of my brothers. And the excitement that I will feel saying like, here, I've got so much money. I'm gifting you this. You can pay out your house. And like this,
Yeah.
that feeling, I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to do that. Or you don't know anything about me, but I experienced infertility for a long time. So my son comes from like a long journey of fertility treatment. I would absolutely love to be able that my company says once a year we pay for treatments for 5 families and we choose different families. And if, it's like you said, cause that is really close to my heart. I understand all of what it involves and how amazing it would be to have somebody gift you from the bottom of their heart just because they can. And on that note,
Where it's like a powerful social justice endeavor, right? Where you can just like share and give. And it's just like, it feels so good to be generous too. And to like share with your loved ones. So I just think that's like a beautiful, amazing side of money that we miss out on when we think it's just only that.
Yeah. And so when I actually look at my thoughts about making $1 million, I don't have like this, I'm going to become a power crazy woman. It's all about what this will allow me to do. And okay, maybe you're listening to us and you're thinking, well, $1 million. Like, I am a social worker. Why would I want, like, I work for this company or whatever. You're not self employed. You don't currently have like this ability to make all the money that you can choose to, according to your mind. And it might not be a goal, but maybe you want to have a little bit more money. What would you do? What would that allow you to do?
Mhm.
I heard a podcast once. This woman said, resourced women had resource women. And I thought that was so brilliant. The more resourced we are, the more we can be a source of resource for other women. And how powerful would that be? You know?
Yeah, totally. It's like creating a chain of all of these other people who can now be more powerful and do more in the world in the way that they want to and help the communities and the people that they want to support. I just think that's such a beautiful thing. Like, I always see it as like when more women or more people in marginalized identities make more money, that's how we can create real powerful shifts in the world and in the ways in which we live. Totally.
So walk me through the process of mindset shifts that you create,
Hmm.
especially a marginalized Natasha, who
Hmm.
grew up with not a lot of money and grew up thinking, oh, people like me don't make money. I haven't seen all these people making money. So people like me don't make money. How do you work with somebody who's in those shoes to get to a place where they're comfortable earning money, where they're loving the money they have in that process? Like that really sparked a
Totally. Yeah, totally. And I think this is kind of what you mentioned too when you were saying like in order to want to make $1 million, you have to like look at all these limiting beliefs. And that is 100% what it is. Like really about you deepening your relationship with yourself, deepening your own like love and trust with who you are as a human, because there's no truth of the world that says someone like you can't make money. That's not a real thing. That's not a fact out there. It's just something that you started believing about yourself for whatever reason. Maybe it was how you were socialized or what your parents taught you or what you learned in school or whatever, right? And so just being willing to start to explore the other side of that and how that is maybe not true and how there might be other possibilities that you can like think about or expand your brain into. It really honestly is about deepening your own self trust and your ability to have your own back and be confident in who you are and you continue to show up and like, evolve into a more comfortable, confident version of yourself, right? Because really, I think what happens sometimes is we're so scared of what other people will think of us, or we're so worried about how people might judge us. But when we're worried about that, we're not showing up to like love ourselves as who we are and have our own backs and trust our, our own life journey. And so part of that work is really about looking at those beliefs that you've just been believing about yourself and questioning how they might actually not be the truth about who you are and your capacities as a human in this life and in this world.
So how, like I talk a lot about limiting beliefs. If you guys have been listening to my podcast for a while, this is not new conversation, new subject. But for the purpose of this episode, in case people are just stepping into this episode, how does a person go? How do you walk them through noticing their limiting beliefs about money?
Yeah, totally. So that's really what we do in the coaching conversations that we have is the first is that we start off by just getting them all out there. I'm like, they have a goal, some sort of money goal, and I'm like, okay, why can't you achieve it? What are all of your brain's objections? And so they just like tell me all of the reasons why, right? And so me as the coach, I know those reasons aren't true. Like I always like love my clients so much and I see so much possibility and potential for them even more than they can see for themselves. And that's like 100% my job. I'm like, oh, this is so easy for you to do. I know that 100%, right? And so as we start to walk through some of their limiting beliefs or they talk to me about them, we really get curious together, right? Like the first step to creating change is awareness. So getting them out on paper or, verbalizing them to me as your coach. And then we start to get curious about them. How is this actually maybe not true? Like, is it possible that there's an other side and you have other evidence to this belief? why are you telling yourself this if it isn't true? And we just start to have that conversation where we really like play around with those beliefs. We make it really fun and just start to explore it and look at it from different angles inside to see, what else might be possible for them in terms of like achieving their dreams or, realizing the goal that they have for themselves.
Yeah. So then first step for those who are listening is write down all of your thoughts about making money in general and all of your, I love you call them brain objections. I think that's such a good way of also saying limiting beliefs. Like what are all of your brain objections towards money, having money, making money, saving money, being like, good with money or not good with money.
Mhm.
And you said loving the money they have. Like, let's go into this lack of sufficiency that rules so much of our beliefs, right? Like, many of our core beliefs might be people like me don't make money. Or, like, I used to think as a life coach, I will never make millions. That used to be my thought until I met a coach who's making millions and she proved that wrong. That thought was not true.
Yeah, totally. That's how you like dig into it. It's like, wait, I have evidence for someone who's doing this. So why do I think that this thing is true when it's clearly not? Yeah, totally.
So how do you, because I've also experienced where I am impatient. Like I coach type A personalities. I have a type A. I want to get working. I want to get the work done as fast as possible, as efficient as possible. And so I do find myself running into, not just with money in general, in goals. And I see it with my clients, a place of scarcity, right? Like what we call scarcity, which is also not enoughness.
Mhm.
How can I think I should be making or I could make more money when all I've got in the bank account is $10?
Yeah. So
Lack the evidence.
it's really interesting because it's like our brain always wants to tell us the negative part of the story. And that's the only thing we seek evidence for, as opposed to balancing it out and seeing, the positive side or the other side of it. Like, so for example, I've been recently coaching someone who I think they made about $10,000 in their business last year. And so they're telling me, like, this isn't enough. I didn't reach my goals. I'm not a successful business person. And so they're rejecting that $10,000, and then they're fueled with like hopelessness and shame and self judgment. So it's not really making them want to go out and do more this year or like show up from like love and passion and excitement for their business. They're not like proud of themselves for making $10,000 in a year, which is amazing, right? Instead, they're just like shaming it and rejecting it. And that's what I mean is like you can't reject the money you have already and then hope to make all this other money, because when you reject it, you're starting from not enoughness. Whereas the other side of the story is like, holy, I made $10,000. Isn't this amazing? I started from scratch. I didn't know what I was doing. And I figured out how to make 10,000. And if I figured out how to do that, I can figure out how to make 20 or 50 or 100. Right. And then you're filled with like curiosity and excitement and passion and a willingness to show up and try over and over again. Right. Whereas in the other side of the story, when you are telling yourself it's not enough and you're not successful and that sucks, then you're going to like inevitably just like give up or not really want to show up and not really care. And so this is why it's so important to start from a place of recognizing how already inherently amazing it is that you've done what you've already done in your life. Like it is so cool. And like this $10,000 over here isn't better than this $10,000 over here, right? Like it's all the same pool of money. So that's why we start off by just like celebrating and loving what we have and using that as like the beautiful fuel to create more.
Yeah. And so I wanted to add to this. I want people to see it as a snowball effect. Am I saying that right? Yeah. Snowball effect. It begins with one thought that says, this money I have isn't enough. And that feeling of not enoughness grows and it manifests into more thoughts that then say, give up because you're never going to have enough. Right. And so it moves you down a path. Whereas if you were to choose today, after listening to this podcast, making money is accessible to people.
Mhm.
So imagine that, not imagine, make a choice today because what we're telling you is it all begins with your thoughts. And I think we minimize this. I think we want to overcomplicate. Your brain wants to overcomplicate things. And so we often think, oh, those people who have money, like have this very complex way of thinking and doing and got all these resources to make money. And so if we follow Natasha's train of thought, which is very much how I coach also my clients in mindset in general, if we begin from a place of gratitude and enoughness, and if we recognize that we are enough, that what we've got going on right now is enough, and we bring to mind today one helpful thought that inhibits in you the ability to just explore that perhaps making money or being in money or having money or whatever money thought you have is accessible to you, that could also happen to you, that you can include yourself in the group of people who are good people who are making money and who are using this money to help the world to have more, like to actually shift, like you said, if more marginalized communities were making more money, what would this planet look like? And how are you contributing to that? If we all were to take our social responsibility, how are we contributing to that?
Yeah, totally. And this isn't to say that like oppressive systems don't exist in society or that like there isn't money, inequality. For sure, there's money inequality. We know that there's like gender pay gaps in the work environment. And so that isn't about blaming you for these circumstances that are maybe outside of your control. Instead, it's really about being like, okay, I could either be mad and upset and do nothing, or I can recognize that, you know what, I want to create real change and I want to do something about it. And even though it looks like money isn't for someone like me, I still have power within this to do something about it and to create change and to do it in a way that feels good for me. So it's really about empowering yourself in the circumstances or the life that you currently live to know that there is a way for you to create shift to make more money if that's what you want to be doing in your life. Totally.
If that's not what you want to do, I will want you to still do work of what is my current relationship thinking wise with money? Like, what do I believe? Because everything in our life is impacted by the money we make.
Totally.
So, whether you're an entrepreneur wanting to make money or you are just not just, or you are somebody who's happily working at this place at a certain salary, whether that's a coffee place or a corporation, I don't care. What is your current relationship with money? How are you viewing money in your life? Are you somebody who's constantly thinking, I don't have enough? I wish I'd had this, or this money I've got only allows me to have this certain life and I don't like this life? Like, what are your thoughts about money? How is this impacting the food you eat, the dreams you have, the place you sleep in? Like, and what do you tell yourself about this? Because I don't want to come from a perspective of without money, nobody's happy. Although I think, like without money, how do you, like, if you cannot pay for your bills, how are you happy? But for that certain amount of money is what brings comfort because you can find comfort anywhere you are at any given level. And I think that's the point. Begin to love where you're at now and have perceptions about where you are today that allow you to feel this is enough. And from here, I can choose to earn more, have more, save more, invest more from a place of enoughness versus lack.
Yeah, totally. I love what you said there, which I think is so powerful. It's like you don't have to make more money if you don't want to. That option is always available to you. But either way, explore your relationship with money will always serve you and it will always help you to just get curious about it, right? Because even if you don't want to make more money, are there areas in your life where you're not allowing yourself to buy the things that you want to buy or to have the experiences you want to have, right? Like maybe there's ways in which you're not currently showing up in alignment with your values or the life you want to have. And that doesn't have to come by just making more money. Just exploring the relationship to the money you have and how you spend and how you save and how you earn, I think will just be so helpful in you getting to know yourself a little bit more and what it is that you want to do with intention and purpose in your own life.
Yeah. And I like I've in coaching women, I have found different limiting beliefs around money that block them. So like even looking at your retirement plan, avoiding looking at it because what
Mm.
if I don't have enough? And so that stops you from problem solving, from planning properly, from making empowered decisions. At the end of the day, your way of thinking either gives you power or takes power away from you.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. That's such a beautiful way of phrasing it.
You know, and whether what we're talking about is money or love or health, if you can master this going in and exploring of your thoughts and whether or not they're building you up to go be the best, have the more, be the, like life experience life as you want it, or not. And we all have mental drama. I was just telling you guys about my own work of my mental drama. And I am psyching myself up to make $1 million. I am far more excited today than I was when I first thought this is possible, because I've come to realize I will do fantastic things with $1 million. What in me wouldn't want to do that? But I do have to say that in my journey, when I first opened my practice, money was not the goal whatsoever. It was for me to do what I love doing. That was it. I want to do what I love doing, and I only want to do what I love doing. And later I was like, yeah, but I need to make money, because how am I going to pay for my bills? And there is a cost to rent, and there is a cost to all things. So yes, I can do what I love doing, but I need to pay that. And so slowly I have grown in my belief that making money is good, because I had all these traps that like I used to think that competed with my making of money. And I've also grown my belief that the more that is where that why I encourage people to do this work, because I've chosen to have beliefs that allow me to not limit myself from any success and to any extent by giving meaning to the actions that I'm taking. So like that phrase I gave you, resource women, that's my dream. Can I resource more women? 100%. Will that motivate me to, go out there and do the things that I'm afraid of, that my protective mind is saying like, that's safe. Could you possibly make that much money? Would that be good? And face it from a place of love. No, get excited. This can't. You say in your description that making money can be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I think about it, right? It's like it doesn't have to be the whole goal or it doesn't have to be the whole purpose, but like how can you make the journey of it actually really fun for you, right? Like by doing the things that you want to be doing, whether it's paying off debt or earning more money or applying for a new job, like you're allowed to do it in the way that you want to do it. And I think sometimes we fall like victim to all of these different like beliefs or ideas that society tells us that it has to be done in this way. We have to follow these rules with money, but they're like we never have to follow those certain rules with money. We're allowed to do whatever we want. And that's something that I do in my business. I'm like, I only want to do things that feel fun for me. I don't really want to do things that don't feel really fun. And so the projects that I take on and choose to do, I'm like, I love this. I'm excited about this. And I think that's really what you said too in starting your business. You're like, I want to do what I want to do because I love it and I enjoy it. And we're allowed to make that the purpose. It doesn't have to be this like horrible, awful thing that we're like forcing ourselves through, because the destination is always going to feel like the journey, right? So if it's awful the entire way, it's going to be awful once you reach your goal. So why not make it fun the entire way? Then you can have fun once you get there.
And I think another, as you're saying this, because this is where I'm at now. I used to have a limiting belief that said either you love what you're doing or you make money.
Yeah, totally.
So I used to separate the things like I am being moved by doing what I love, and money is not relevant at all, which is not true. Money is very relevant. I couldn't keep doing what I love doing if I didn't get paid. I couldn't.
Yeah, we're not volunteers,
I
right?
have a car, like I've got to leave. But what I'm now, which this is why I agree with you, it's fun. What I'm now playing with, and it's a playful energy. So how do I get to have fun? So how do I get to do what I love and make as much money as I can?
Yeah.
Because before I was limiting myself just enough. I used to say this jokingly, but it was the truth, that I run my business like a hobby. If I made money, great. If I didn't, hobbies cost you more than like they give you. And so I used to think like, and really, I used to lose money every month because I was out giving, and I loved that, and I loved the process. But comes a time when a woman has to look at her money habits and think, hold on, is this sustainable long term?
We don't have to separate fun and money. We can actually put them together and it's allowed to be both in one venture. Yeah, I love it. I think a lot of people step into it with that same way. Like, at least I'm doing what I love. I don't need to make money. It's totally fine. But like, that's such a powerful question. It's like, how can I make money and do what I love and let it be both? Right? That like stretches your capacity in your brain for thinking about what actually might be possible for you in that scenario. I love that.
And that's the part that I really want to bring home for you guys listening, is that your brain is as expansive as you let it be in the subject that you guide it to. So when you are having thoughts or brain objections of people like me don't make money, or life coaches that make money, my story with social workers that make money, like I used to have these thoughts in my head, my brain would expand towards that direction. It showed me all the ways in which I couldn't make money. And it gave me all the reasons why I couldn't charge what I charge. And why. Like I had that expansion of the brain looking at all the limitations that I believed in. Now, and that is why it's so fun. Your brain is so reachable and it's so expensive. Like it can go in any direction. You just have to guide it. And I encourage you to guide it towards what you want to live, not what your fears show you to. And challenge yourself. There's no competition, but you are pushing yourself to see what you're capable of by asking the question, how do I get to grow my belief in I am capable of making money? How can I think about money being easy to make and making the money? Like I'm just thinking of the people who are not entrepreneurs. They have a set salary, but they might still have all these worries about money. How do I make myself believe that what I make is enough
Mm.
and still show up and love?
Yeah, or that how can I make more in this position that I am in right now? How can I negotiate a higher salary? How can I, maybe apply for a promotion or whatever? Like you're not just limited by that role that you're in. There are always like possibilities and choices that you can make, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you are an employee in a business. It is always possible for you to make more money if that's what you want to do. And that's really what I think we want to like show you in this conversation is that you don't have to be limited by these ideas that maybe you've accepted. It's like, well, this is the max of the salary. So this is all I get in this job, or I have to stay in this job for 10 years before I apply to a new job. Like those aren't the rules of the universe. You're allowed to change them and to live and show up in a way that serves you and makes most sense to you.
I had the question of how can I move up the ladder, even when I worked in corporate. And I had one belief, and I'm telling you guys this story because I think this can relate to you, not just if you're self-employed. I had this job in an agency and, we were the highest paid people under like frontline workers. Like I had the position where I had made the most from all the frontline workers of the agency. Then I had then thought, like, what if I wanted to make more money? Like, what do my managers make? Like, what do people above me make? And so nobody applied for those jobs when those jobs came up because they told themselves, like, screw them. You need to have 10 years experience minimum. That's what they told themselves. I didn't see that in the job application, just said experience. I had one belief. I can get the job. I can apply. Worst case scenario, I go through an interview process. I learn something about myself. I show management that I am interested in management and I keep working at it. That's it. Worst case scenario, I can tolerate what happens. But I had one thought in my head. I can do it. I can learn to do it. If I didn't know, I can learn to do it. And I have to tell you guys that I did apply to this one job where I didn't meet the criteria as the paper said, and I got the job. I was able to interview. And in that interview, I showed up with the energy that said, I don't know all of that entitled, but I know I can learn and I know I can do it. I know I want to do it. So I was in the executive office. There were two other visible minorities and I was the youngest one. All because I didn't see my visible minority or my age or my lack of experience as limitations. I just thought I'm so good in my head that I can learn. I can apply all of what I currently do to that job.
Yeah, totally. And that's like 100%. I think what happens is like people think I need to meet all the qualifications first before I even try. But you are allowed to just try and show up. And maybe you don't get an interview. Maybe you do get an interview. Maybe you don't get the job, whatever. But, once you try and show up, you at least have the information and you have an answer. So you know what to do for next time or you know what you wanted to do next. Right. But if you just say, I'm not even going to try, then you're just assuming that it's not for you and you have actually no idea what could have happened.
Turns out that it wasn't for me, okay, you guys? Summary, it wasn't for me. I did it for a year and that was it. I then opened my private practice, which was such a gift on its own. I don't think I would have jumped from frontline to private practice had I not had that experience and realized, oh, I'm capable. And in fact, I love it. So I'm just going to go do my own thing. You can only see things from where you're standing. And most of us believe that if we haven't gotten there, if we don't have that evidence, that we will not. You believe from the perspective that you are. But what if I dare to dream? What if I stand in that dream? What if I live that dream? And I'm like, not for me. You can change your mind, but you can only see it from where you're standing. So moving positions allows you to have different views, and believing that you can move positions. It's so powerful. So I love how this whole conversation is supposedly about money, but really is going back to belief, thought. And you ladies, gentlemen listening to this podcast, walk away with one thing. Whatever thoughts you store in your brain are 100% responsible for the results you currently have, but they're not forever. You can change your thoughts at any given point. You can allow yourself to be inspired, to dream, to make money. Hire Natasha to do some of the work with your mindset about money specifically, and get out there and do your best with what you've got from a place of enoughness.
Love that. That's amazing.
So tell us a little bit more, Natasha, about where we can find you, how does working with you looks, who's your ideal person to work with? So if my listeners are listening and they're thinking, do I need a morning coach?
Yeah, totally. So what I do is I do one-on-one coaching right now with the clients, and I love to work with either entrepreneurs who are looking to make more money in their business, or employees who are looking to work and make more money at work at their jobs. So I work with two different types of clients, and it's really about people who want to shift their relationship to money or even explore it. They have a lot of stress or scarcity around money, and they want to feel more confident and lighthearted and more fun around the money that they have. And if you want to work with me, you can reach me on my website. So it's my first and last name, Natasha, Tekeste.com. And you can also follow me on Instagram, which again, my Instagram handle is just Natasha Tekeste. And I can see you there.
So all of this information is also in the show notes. Head over there. And, I think that if you listening to us talk kind of brought in you a curiosity to maybe change and shift your mindset around money, I think is probably one of the best investments that you can make on yourself. It changes so much in your life, not just it is so much of your self-worthiness because it's so attached to that. It's about how you view yourself in this world and the space that you want to take. Natasha, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for doing the work that you do. And thank you for being a guest in our podcast. I have enjoyed this episode very much. So I feel like we could be good friends, hang out and coach people in and out so that they can go through our programs and live as CEOs of their life, feeling really strongly about the way they feel about themselves. Money.
Thank you so much for having me. It is such a blast. I'm always so happy to talk to other people who are excited about money as I am. So it has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you next Monday in our next episode. And for now, just head over to the show notes and see what's there for you to explore. Hey, if you're one of those persons who is always worried about how you are going to be perceived by others, if your life's job is to be a people pleaser so that you're liked by others because you dislike confrontation and being judged by others, I've got an amazing invitation for you. Let's change that around. Let's bring you to a place where you have the confidence to understand other people will judge and that you are still going to be okay. That you're going to be liked by those who are going to like you, and you're going to be okay with others not liking you. I want to invite you for 5 days of consecutive life coaching. You and I, for 5 consecutive days, giving you the tools that you need to turn the page from being so preoccupied with judgment to actually gaining the confidence to grab what you need and let go of what does not serve you. If this is for you, join us. It starts September 12th. Currently, you can join the waiting list. As soon as you join the waiting list, you'll be getting emails with fun tips that allow you to prepare for 5 days of coaching with me. Trust me, that week is going to blow your mind and you will be so happy with what you're going to get for $97. $97, 5 hours of coaching, giving you the best tools to turn that page from being so worried about what others think and being so confident about your ability to being okay, not being liked by everybody. It is possible, and I'm going to show you how. Head over to the show notes and make sure you sign up to being on the waiting list. Bye now.